Thank you to Skillshare for supporting this episode of Animal Wonders. The first 1,000 people to click the link in the description will get a free 1-month trial of Skillshare. Paya the baby beaver came to Animal Wonders as an orphan in need of shelter and medical attention. She's growing strong and healthy now, but her rescue story was a rough one. Paya was found on the side of a well-used hiking path near a river that has been the home of many beaver families. But Paya was so small that the people who found her were immediately concerned. So they started calling all the local wildlife departments. Unfortunately, it was 7 p.m. on a Friday night and no one was open to take their call. However, we received their message shortly after they called and we were able to respond. I didn't want them to mistakenly take a baby that didn't need help. Many wild animals will leave their babies alone for long periods of time to either find food for themselves or to keep them safe, since an adult animal can draw more attention than a small hidden baby. So the first thing we needed to determine was if the little one was orphaned, left alone on purpose, or just out adventuring and temporarily separated from their family. To do this, I asked them to send me a picture and an approximation of her size. And she was so small. So I asked them to assess her behavior. They said she looked weak. So I asked them to gently try and approach her and see her reaction. She didn't respond. And when they gently picked her up, she didn't protest. Now, a healthy baby beaver should whine loudly and struggle to get away, and this little one had all but given up. So I instructed them on how to keep her safe for the night, and we prepared a space for her and arranged to pick her up early the next morning. As they were walking home, they spotted a family of beavers and were thrilled, thinking they had found her family. So they put her in the water and she immediately tried swimming out to the other babies. They then called me to let me know and sent me a video they had taken of the interaction. As you can see in the video, the other baby beaver is about twice as big as the little one swimming. You can see how much she's struggling to swim, and when she gets close, the older baby dives underwater. When I saw the video, I asked them to immediately get her out of the water and back to safety. This is because I could see that this was not her family and she was in danger. I shared how I knew this, and they confirmed that the adult beaver also dived underwater and did not come out to collect the tiny baby. See, when baby beavers are born, they are buoyant, and this helps them stay afloat as they practice swimming inside their lodge so they can gain strength and be able to move outside. Babies won't make the move outside the lodge until about 8 weeks old, when they can easily navigate the water and dive to safety when needed. In the video, I saw that Paya was struggling just to swim, and when the older baby dove underwater, she didn't follow. This told me that this was not her family, and beavers are very territorial and do not accept outsiders. If left there, Paya would not have survived. Only wanting the best for the baby beaver, the rescuers got her home and settled into a temporary safe space until we arrived. Paya was only about 2 pounds when she arrived at Animal Wonders, and based on her weight, her estimated age was 3 to 4 weeks, which meant she was too young to be out of her lodge. And that meant that her lodge might have been destroyed, likely by a predator or humans. She was very lucky that she was found, as she huddled by the edge of that hiking path, dehydrated and losing strength without her mother and family to protect her. We gave Paya a special milk formula for beavers, and though she didn't want to eat the weird tasting stuff, we were able to get her to take enough that it was safe to let her relax and settle in. We set her up in a cozy quarantine space with a heat pad to keep her warm and a soft stuffed animal. It was a poor replacement for her lost family, but she curled up next to the stuffed animal and promptly fell asleep. The next day, Paya struggled to accept the milk formula, and it was difficult to get her to take in enough to keep her hydrated. Beavers also need to float in water 3 to 4 times every day. They like to drink while floating, and the water also stimulates them to pee and poop, which is super important for their digestive tract. They specialize in eating fibrous plants, including wood, so their gut flora is strong, but it can be disrupted easily. If they don't keep eating and pooping, it becomes a medical emergency very quickly. Paya was seen by her vet, and she tested negative for Giardia and other parasites, but she was breathing too shallow and rapid. Our vet was concerned that she had pneumonia. The x-rays of her little chest gave us answers. We were able to confirm that she had a severe case of pneumonia, which means she had fluid buildup and a bacterial infection in her lungs. Without treatment, she wouldn't make it. So we started her on oral antibiotics to clear up the infection, and after a few days, her breathing slowed down and she was able to eat a bit better. And it was a great sign that she started nibbling on her own on some fresh green leaves and vegetables. We continue to get Paya into the water 3 to 4 times every day to keep her healthy. The gulping of water when swimming is a great way to keep their digestive system working well, and she was so small that she easily fit into the big utility sink. You'd think a beaver would feel at home in the water, but because Paya had pneumonia and couldn't breathe very easily, she was really nervous in the water and would panic if the water level was raised over a few inches. But Paya continued to make improvements. Her breathing and ability to eat were better, and she was making small but steady gains in weight. Seeing her recovering so well made us turn our focus to what her future might hold. She seemed healthy besides the pneumonia, so we were hopeful that she could be reintroduced into the wild when she was old enough, which meant that we needed to find her a placement with a rehabilitation center. Since Animal Wonders focuses on caring for animals that can't be released into the wild, we wouldn't be a suitable place for Paya to stay. So we reached out to our rehabilitation centers around the state, and after initially making plans for her transfer to one, we actually learned that they were full, and all of the facilities that could house a beaver were also completely full. We then reached out to nearby states and learned that there was apparently an orphan baby beaver boom, and everywhere was full of beavers being rehabilitated, and they didn't have room to add another. Now, this might sound a bit ridiculous, but let me tell you, beavers are challenging animals to care for in captivity. Most wild animals need a few weeks or possibly a few months of care to get strong enough to be returned to the wild. But beavers? They require 2 years of dedicated care until they're able to be released. That's because they don't leave their parents until their 2nd or 3rd year of life. Beavers also require a large pool of water that they get dirty every day, and it needs to be filtered and cleaned regularly, which is a lot of work. And they are natural chewers, which means they are very destructive with everything around them, and their enclosures need to be specially built to prevent damage from heavy chewing. So it's a big task taking on beavers, and not every rehab center can do it. And those that can were too full to take anymore, which meant we didn't have a place for Paya to go. And then all of these thoughts were abruptly put on hold because her health took a turn for the worse. After 4 weeks of antibiotic treatment for her pneumonia, she was feeling better and she was ready to stop taking the medication, and we set about replenishing the good bacteria in her digestive system. She received probiotics and plenty of natural fiber from tree branches. Everything was good for a few days, and then Paya developed diarrhea. She began whimpering when she had to poop, which meant that she really didn't feel well, and she started to refuse to eat and stopped gaining weight. So we began to hand feed her with a syringe to keep her hydrated, continue to get probiotics in her, and keep that food going. Unfortunately, the imbalance in her gut flora flared wildly out of control, and she began to get bloated. This is a serious condition, and if not treated immediately, beavers and other animals with sensitive digestive systems can die. So our vet prescribed injectable antibiotics and activated charcoal to stop the overpopulation of bad bacteria in her gut. Paya didn't like the taste of the charcoal at all, but it needed to be done. She also received pain medication since having a bellyache is really uncomfortable, and the goal was to get her healthy and have her start eating on her own again. This was a scary point in her recovery, and we didn't know if we could get her thriving on her own. During the next 2 weeks, life consisted of lots and lots of diarrhea, but also lots of warm, gentle baths for Paya, not so fun antibiotic shots twice a day, syringe feeding, and so many cozy cuddles in a blanket. And we went from being more hands-off with her socialization in preparation for release into the wild to fully hands-on socialization and interactions to keep her alive and comfortable. Her survival was the priority, even if it meant she was going to become habituated to humans. Thankfully, the treatments worked and Paya started to feel better and her diarrhea subsided. We were now ready to end the second course of antibiotics and repopulate her gut with good bacteria. This time, we needed something more powerful than just manufactured probiotics. In the wild, baby beavers get their good gut flora from their parents. They're not born with it. They actually have to eat the bacteria. And the way they do this is through coprophagia, which means they eat their mom and dad's poop. Yes, it's gross, but also totally normal for beavers. So all we needed was some poop from a nice healthy beaver. And thankfully, we have one of those at Animal Wonders. Huckleberry is our 4-year-old non-releasable beaver, and he unknowingly became Paya's poop donor. With a probiotic poop slurry syringe in hand, we helped Paya get the good bacteria she needed. Over the next week, we monitored her poops a bit obsessively, and 7 days later, we celebrated that she had lovely formed poops. She also began gaining weight again. Every day we celebrated an increase, and every day she looked stronger and more robust. It was time to start thinking about her future again. Paya had now grown so much that her quarantine space was no longer big enough to keep her happy, so we needed to get her set up in a larger area. We hadn't anticipated keeping her for this long, so we rearranged a couple of our permanent animal residents and made Lollipop the skunk's space available for Paya to use. She was nervous at first, but quickly learned to listen for approaching footsteps so she could run over and greet us at the front. She was becoming such an active and social little beaver, and we were eager to get her paired with a companion. Since we couldn't find a nearby rehabilitation center to take her in, our next option was to have her become an educational ambassador for her species. This wasn't our first hope for her, but the only other option to that was to send her to a rehab facility where they would humanely euthanize her. Since that wasn't an option we wanted to pursue, we set about in 2 directions. 1, reach out to zoos and other educational centers to see if anyone was looking to add a beaver to their facility. And 2, see if Paya could be introduced to our 4-year-old beaver, Huckleberry. And that's where this episode is going to leave off. Paya was finally healthy and stable, and she was ready to begin the next adventure in her journey of life. She was eating well on her own. Aspen branches, dandelion leaves, and carrots were her favorites. She was enjoying water more and was working on her swimming skills. And she was going to become an ambassador for her species, teaching people how amazing and important beavers are for a thriving ecosystem. I hope you enjoyed hearing Paya's rescue and recovery story and learning about how challenging it can be to care for orphan baby wild animals. If you ever find yourself in a situation where a baby wild animal needs help, please contact a local animal facility to help you get the baby where they need to be and get the specialized care that they require. During this scary time in Paya's young life, the most important thing we could do for her was to get her eating a nutritious diet on her own. And eating well is important for all of us. I'm someone who enjoys eating snacks, which is why I was excited to come across this class on Skillshare called Energy Bites, Healthy and Delicious Snacks and Treats. Margaret Joyner shares her yummy recipes for these treats that are packed with fiber and plant-based nutrients, just like beavers need. If you like treats and also want to give your body nutritious foods, you can check out the class yourself. Skillshare is an online learning community that offers membership with meaning. With so much to explore, real projects to create, and the support of fellow creatives, Skillshare empowers you to accomplish real growth. And it makes it easy with short classes that will fit into your daily routine. A premium membership will give you unlimited access, so you can join the classes and communities that are just right for you. The first 1,000 people to use the link in the description will get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Subscribe to our channel for more animal adventures, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye!